Hello and welcome. Welcome to our module on deploying a USM Anywhere sensor in a Microsoft Azure environment. We will begin by briefly discussing the prerequisites for successful deployment, and then we'll walk you through the deployment wizard used to deploy the sensor, keeping in mind that this module will only cover the essentials required to deploy a new sensor. From the sensors download page, which we have right here, you can access the links to deploy the sensor. Since we're doing Microsoft Azure in this video, we'll start right here and we can see there are 3 links. We have the sensor download link, the deployment guide, and the quick start guide. Let's first go to Azure Sensor and take a look at the deployment guide, which will open a new tab. And then on the left, we'll click on the requirements. In this page, you will see the several different requirements for that successful installation. First, you have to have an account with privileges in the resource group or in the subscriptions where you want to install the sensor. You also need administrative access within Azure. You need a virtual network, a subnet, and a storage account. Please be sure to read these important notes. Then you'll come to the section for outbound ports. We'll need these several different outbound ports for outgoing and ongoing communications. Port 7100 here is a very important port to have open. This is going to establish the ongoing communications with USM Anywhere. Scrolling down, we'll see the list of inbound ports. And here, one of the important ones is TCP 9000, which is the inbound communications for the HTTP sensor traffic. You'll also have some allowed listing IP addresses that will be required. And at the bottom, you might need some URLs for proxy bypass. Let's go back to our sensor downloads page. And this time, let's click on the Azure Sensor download. When we click on the link, it will ask us to log into our Microsoft Azure environment. And it will take us to the marketplace, the place where we can create this sensor. We'll begin the deployment by clicking on this Create button. And we'll have 8 different tabs listed here at the tab that we have to go through to deploy this sensor. First, the description. Make sure that is correct. Also, your resource group and the virtual machine name. So we'll give it a name here. We'll call it Azure Sensor Demo. Make sure your region is selected along with your availability zone, your security type, and the image that you'll be using. Here, we'll take the defaults, including the x64 architecture and the size here. On the bottom here, we have the authentication type. SSH public key is much more secure, but in our case, we'll do the password. So I'll put a username. Make sure you meet the minimum requirements, which is at least 12 characters. Here on the left, let's click on Disk. And here in the center of the page, it'll ask us for the disk size, the disk type, and whether we want to delete all this if we ever delete the VM, which is automatically selected. At the bottom, we'll select networking. And we'll select the virtual network, which will be created by default, the subnet, as well as the public IP. If we scroll down, we'll have a new security group created. And we want to select to delete the public IP and network interface card when the VM is deleted. That'll ensure that our IP is also deleted and it's not being left out there. Next is management here, which is going to take the default Scroll down to the bottom, click on monitoring. On this page, we will also take the defaults, and then at the bottom, click advanced. We're not going to select anything as far as extensions and custom data, so we'll hit next. And the last screen before we review is the tags. We're not going to create any tags, so let's click review and create. And after a few seconds, it'll give us a list of all the things that we have selected. We want to make sure that we double check all this information to make sure that we have a successful deployment. So we scroll down slowly, reviewing all of our choices as far as disks, networking, management, monitoring, and advanced. Then we'll hit create. You'll see the screen where the deployment is in progress. And after a few minutes, it will show us that the deployment is complete. Very good. We can then navigate to home, go into our resource groups, go down into our training videos. And here on the right, we will see all the different items that were created by that deployment. Very good. Let's now complete the deployment by activating the sensor within USM Anywhere. So here on the left, I'm going to click on the IP address, and I'm going to follow that public IP address here. I'm going to copy that and put that into a new tab. And here is the USM Anywhere sensor setup page. We have the sensor name already from the deployment. We'll put a description here. And we need an authentication code. We can retrieve this code from USM Anywhere. So up here, tab here. On the right, we'll click New Sensor. Copy this authentication code and paste it into our deployment page. Once that has been accepted, we'll have the entry for the fully qualified domain name of our USM Anywhere. I can get that from the top area here and paste that into the appropriate field, and we'll get the message to start setup. So we'll click that, and this will initiate the sensor setup, which will take about 4 to 5 minutes. And we'll come back when it's done. After a few minutes, the sensor setup will be finished, and we can have this link here where we can click and finish the configuration. So from here, we go to data sources, sensors, and on the right side, we will click on this configure icon. So where we can set up the different questions from this wizard here on the left. We'll skip the credentials for now, and we'll continue without discovering. We can click next on the hub configuration. We'll have those selected for the Azure Insight and Security Alerts. Click next. You can also set up your Active Directory credentials. Click next. Log management. This will show the asset sending data to the sensor. In our case, we don't have any. Set the OTX key. Set it to 3 months. Validate. Make sure that it says that it's syncing. Then we'll click next. And since we're done here on the left side, we can see we have answered all the questions. And then we can click on Start using the USM Anywhere. Here on the left, just to check that everything's ready, we can see the status is ready, and it is now shown as configured. Thank you so much for watching.